Welcome back, Chapter 20. Pip knew from her murder map that it would take Robbie about 18 minutes to walk from his house to Monroe. He was 4 minutes faster running when he spotted her. "What is it?" he said, out of breath and brushing the hair back off his face. It, it, it is a lot of things, Pip said quietly. "I'm not quite sure where to start, so I just will." "You're freaking me out." His eyes flicked over her face, searching. "I'm freaking me out too." She paused. "Okay, you know how I was looking for the drug dealer from my lead at the Calamity party? Well, he was there tonight, dealing in the parking lot, and I followed him home. He lives here, Ravi, the road where Andy's car was found." Ravi's eyes wandered up to trace the outline of the dark street. "But how do you even know he's the guy that supplied her?" he asked. "I didn't for sure," she said. "I do now. But wait, there's another thing I have to tell you first, and I don't want you to be mad." "Why would I be mad?" He looked down at her, his face hardening around the eyes. Because I lied to you," she said, her gaze down on her own feet. But she could feel Ravi's stare, and her stomach jumped up, blocking her throat. Why was this so hard? "I told you that Sal's police interview hadn't arrived yet. It did, over 2 weeks ago." "What?" he said quietly. A look of unconcealed hurt clouded his face. "I'm sorry," Pip said, "but when it arrived and I read through it, I thought you'd be better off not seeing it." "Why?" She swallowed. "Because it looked really bad for Sal. He was evasive with the police and outright told them he didn't want to say why he and Andy were arguing on that Thursday and Friday. It looked like he was trying to hide his own motive. And I was scared that maybe he actually killed her, and I didn't want you to be upset with me. I didn't want to upset you." She chanced to look up at his eyes. They were drawn and sad. "You think Sal is guilty after all this?" "No, I don't. I just doubted it for a while, and I was scared what it would do to you. I was wrong. I'm sorry. It wasn't my place. But I was also wrong to ever doubt Sal." Ravi looked at her, scratching the back of his head. "Okay," he said. "It's okay. I get why you did it. So what's going on?" "I just found out exactly why Sal was so weird and evasive in his police interview and why he and Andy were arguing. Come on." She beckoned him to follow and walked back over to Howie's bungalow. She pointed. "This is the drug dealer's house," she said. "Look at his car, Ravi." She watched Ravi's face as his eyes tracked up and down over the car, from windshield to bumper and headlight to headlight, until they dropped on the license plate. "Oh," he said. Pip nodded, staring back at the plate. 009 KKJ. "Sal wrote that plate number in the notes on his phone," Pip said, "on Wednesday, the 16th of April, at about 7:45 p.m. He must have been suspicious. Maybe he heard rumors at school or something. So he followed Andy that evening and must have seen her with Howie in this car and what she was doing. So Sal figured it out because he followed her. That's why they were arguing in the days before she went missing," Ravi added. "Sal hated drugs, hated them. And when the police asked him about their arguing," Pip continued, "he wasn't being evasive to hide his own motive. He was protecting Andy. He didn't think she was dead. He thought she was alive and coming back, and he didn't want to get her in trouble with the police by telling them she was dealing drugs. And the final text he sent her on that Friday night, 'I'm not talking to you till you stop,'" Ravi quoted. "You know," Pip said, smiling, "your brother has never looked more innocent than right now." "Thanks," he returned the smile. "You know, I never said this to a girl before, but I'm glad you came knocking on my door out of the blue to interrogate me." Blood flushed to her cheeks and she untucked her hair so he wouldn't see. "I distinctly remember you telling me to go away," she said. "Well, it appears you're hard to get rid of." "That I am," she bowed her head. "Ready to do some knocking with me?" What? He looked at her appalled. Oh, come on, she said, striding toward Howie's front door. You're finally going to get some action. Gah! So hard not to point out all the innuendos. Wait, Pip, Ravi said, bounding after her. What are you doing? He's not going to talk to us. He will, Pip said, waving her phone above her head. I have leverage. What leverage? Ravi caught up with her just before the front door. She turned and flashed him a scrunched up, crinkle-eyed smile, and then she took his hand. Before Ravi could take it away, she knocked it 3 times against the door. He widened his eyes in a silent rebuke. They heard shuffling and coughing from inside. A few seconds later, the door was roughly pulled open. Howie stood there blinking at them. He'd taken off his coat now and was wearing a stained blue t-shirt, his feet bare. He smelled of stale smoke and damp woody clothes. Hello, Howie Bowers, Pip said. Please, may we buy some drugs? She is too much. Who the hell are you? Howie spat. I'm the hell person who took these lovely photos earlier tonight, Pip said, scrolling to the pictures of Howie and holding the phone up to his face. She swiped across so he saw the whole range. Interestingly, I know this boy you sold drugs to. His name's Robin. I wonder what would happen if I called his parents right now and told them to search his backpack. I wonder if they'd find a small paper bag of treats. And then I wonder how long it would take for the police to come knocking around here, especially once I give them a call to help them along. She let Howie digest it all, her eyes darting between the phone, Ravi, and Pip. His eyes, excuse me. He grunted. What do you want? I want you to invite us in and answer some of our questions, Pip said, glad that Ravi was standing right behind her. She wasn't so scared with him here, his breath warm against her hair. That's all, and we won't go to the police. What about? He said, picking something from his teeth with his fingernails. About Andy Bell. A look of badly performed confusion spread over Howie's face. You know, the girl you supplied with drugs to sell to school kids? The same girl who was murdered 5 years ago. Remember her? Pip said. Well, if you don't, I'm sure the police will remember. Fine, Howie said, stepping back over a pile of plastic bags, holding the door open. You can come in. Excellent, Pip said, looking back at Ravi over her shoulder. She mouthed, leverage, to him, and he rolled his eyes. But as she went to enter the house, Ravi pulled her behind him, crossing the threshold first. He stared Howie down until the man drew back from the door and moved along the tiny corridor. Pip followed Ravi inside, shutting the door behind her. I wonder if he really was giving him that look like, back up, or, you know the symbol, work with me here. This way, Howie said gruffly, disappearing into the living room. He fell back into a tattered armchair, an open can of beer waiting for him on the armrest. Ravi stepped over to the sofa and pushed away a pile of clothes, took the seat opposite Howie, straight back and as close to the edge of the couch cushion as it was possible to be. Pip sat beside him, crossing her arms. Howie pointed his beer can at Ravi. You're the brother of the guy that murdered her. Allegedly, Pip and Ravi said at the same time. The tension in the room mounted as eye contact shifted between the three of them. You understand we'll go to the police with these pictures if you don't answer our questions about Andy, Pip said, eyeing the beer, which probably wasn't Howie's first since returning home. Yes, darling, Howie laughed, a teeth whistle laugh. You've made that clear enough. Good, she said. I'll keep my questions nice, clean too. When did Andy first started working for you, and how did it come about? I don't remember. He took a large glug of beer. Maybe early 2013. And she was the one that came to me. All I know is I had this ballsy teenager strolling up to me in the parking lot telling me she could get me more business if I gave her a cut. She said she wanted to make money, and I told her that I had similar interests. Don't know how she found out where I sold. So you agreed when she offered to help you sell? Obviously, she was promising and in with the younger crowd kids I couldn't really get to. It was a win-win. And then what happened? Ravi said. Howie's eyes alighted to Ravi, and Pip felt him tense where their arms almost touched. We met up, and I gave her some ground rules, like about keeping the stash and money hidden, about using codes rather than names. I gave her a phone to use for business stuff, and that was it, really. I sent her out into the big, wild, wide world. Howie smiled, his face and stubble unnervingly symmetrical. Andy had a second phone? Pip asked. Yeah, obviously. Couldn't be arranging deals on a phone her parents paid for, could she? I brought her a burner phone, prepaid and cash. 2, actually. I got the second one when the credit on the first one ran out. Gave it to her only a few months before she got killed. Where did Andy keep the drugs before she sold them? Ravi asked. That was part of the ground rules. Howie sat back, speaking into his can. I told her this little business venture would go nowhere if she didn't have somewhere to hide the stash and her second phone without her parents finding it. She assured me she had just the place and no one else knew about it. Where was it? Ravi pressed. He scratched his chin. Think it was some kind of loose floorboard in her wardrobe. She said her parents had no idea it existed and she was always hiding shit there. So the phone's probably still hidden in Andy's bedroom? Pip said. I don't know, unless she had it on her when she... Howie made a gurgling sound as he crossed his fingers sharply across his throat. Pip looked over at Ravi before her next question, a muscle pulsing in his jaw as he ground his teeth, not dropping his eyes from Howie, like he thought he could hold him in place with his stare. Okay, she said. So which drugs was Andy selling at house parties? Howie crushed an empty can and threw it onto the floor. Started with just weed, he said. By the end, she was selling a load of different things. She asked which drugs Andy sold, said Ravi. List them. Yeah, okay. Howie looked annoyed, sitting up taller and picking at a textured brown stain on his t-shirt. She sold weed, sometimes ecstasy, Canamine, and Ketamine. She had a couple of regular buyers of Rifanol. Rifanol, Pip repeated, unable to hide her shock. You mean roofies? Andy was dealing roofies at school parties? Yeah. They're for like chilling out though, too. Not what most people think. Did you know who was buying Rifanol from Andy? She asked. There was this rich kid. I think she said Duno? Howie shook his head. A rich kid? Pip mind immediately drew a picture of him, his angular face and sneering smile, floppy yellow hair. Was this rich kid a blonde guy? Howie looked blankly at her and shrugged. Answer, or we go to the police, Ravi said. Yeah, it could have been that blonde guy. Pip cleared her throat to give herself some thinking time. Okay, she said. How often would you and Andy meet? Whenever we needed to. Whenever she had orders to collect or cash to give. I'd say it was probably about once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. Where did you meet? Ravi asked. At the station, or she sometimes came over here. Were you? Pip paused. Were you and Andy involved romantically? Howie snorted. He sat up suddenly, swatting something near his ear. Fuck no, we weren't. His laughter didn't wholly cover the anger creeping up his neck in red patches. Are you sure about that? Yes, I'm sure. The cover of amusement was cast aside now. Why are you getting defensive then? Pip said. Course I'm defensive. There's 2 kids in my house berating me about stuff that happened years ago and threatening to tell the cops. He kicked out at the crumpled beer can on the floor and it sailed across the room, clattering into the blinds just behind Pip's head. Ravi jumped up from the sofa, stepped in front of her. What are you going to do about it? Howie leered at him, staggering to his feet. You're a fucking joke, man. All right, everyone, calm down, Pip said, standing up too. We're almost finished here. You just have to answer honestly. Did you have a sexual relationship with... No, I already said no, didn't I? The flush reached his face, peeking out above the line of his beard. She was just business to me, okay? It wasn't any more complicated than that. Where were you the night she was killed? Ravi demanded. I was passed out and drunk on that sofa. Do you know who killed her? Said Pip. Yeah, his brother. Howie pointed aggressively at Ravi. Is that what this is? You want to prove your murdering scum brother was innocent? Pip saw Ravi stiffen, folding his hands into fists. Then he caught her eyes and shook the hardness out of his face, tucking his fingers into his pockets. Okay, we're done here, Pip said, laying her hand on Ravi's arm. Let's go. No, I don't think so. In 2 giant leaps, Howie darted over to the door, blocking their way out. Excuse me, Howard, Pip said, her nervousness cooling into fear. No, he laughed, shaking his head. I can't let you leave. Ravi stepped up to him. Move. I did what you asked, Howie turned to Pip. Now you have to delete those photos of me. Pip relaxed a little. Okay, she said, that's fair. She held up her phone and showed Howie she had deleted every single picture from the parking lot until she swiped right to a photo of Barney and Josh asleep in the dog bed together. Done. Howie stepped aside and let them pass. It's still in the trash, Howie. She can restore them. Pip pulled open the front door and she and Ravi stepped outside into the brisk night air. But not before Howie said one last thing. You go around asking dangerous questions, girl, you're going to find some dangerous answers. And I agree. She making me nervous again. Ravi yanked the door shut. He waited until the house was at least 20 paces behind them before saying, well, that was fun. Thanks for the invite to my first blackmailing. You're welcome, she said. My first time too, but it worked. We found out that Andy had a second phone, Howie had complicated feelings for her, and Max Hastings has a taste of Rufinol. She unlocked her phone, just recovering those photos in case we need future Howie leverage. Oh, fantastic, he said. Can't wait. Maybe then I can add blackmail as a special skill to my resume. You know you use humor as a defense mechanism when you're tense. Pip smirked at him, letting him through the hedge gap ahead of her. Yeah, and you turn into a smartass. He looked back at her for a long moment and she broke first. They started laughing, slowly at first, still in shock, and then they couldn't seem to stop. Pip's skin hummed with adrenaline as she fell into Ravi, eyes watering. Her stomach felt tight and sore and something else, a warm, fizzy feeling. The afterlaugh signs only set them off again. She feeling for Ravi? Pip Fitz Amobi, October 4, 2019. Capstone Project Log Entry 23. I should really be concentrating on my applications. The deadline for early decision is less than a month away. I've already filled in the Common App. Letters of recommendations are sorted out, and the Columbia questions look easy enough. It's the personal essay I'm worried about. I've read through the prompts, but I have no idea what to say. The school counselors say to just be yourself. But how am I supposed to explain exactly who I am when I don't actually know? I'm good at homework, I guess, and I'm motivated. But is that what makes me, me? I need to focus on something else before I drive myself crazy. So Howie Bowers doesn't have an alibi for the night Andy disappeared. By his own admission, he was passed out drunk at his house. Without corroboration, this could be a total fabrication. He's an older guy, and Andy could have ruined him by turning him into the police for Dylan. His relationship with Andy had criminal foundations, and judging by his defensiveness, possibly some sexual undertones. And her car, the car that police believe was driven with her body in the trunk, was found on his street. I know Max does have an alibi for the night Andy disappeared, the same alibi Sal asked his friends to give him. But Andy's abduction window was between 10:40 p.m. and 12:45 a.m. There is a possibility that Max could have worked with the later end of that time frame. His parents were away. Jake and Sal had left his house, and Millie and Naomi went to sleep in the spare room a bit before 12:30. Max could have left the house at that time without anyone knowing. Maybe Naomi could have too, or together. Max has a naked picture of a murdered victim he claims he was never romantically involved with. He is technically an older guy. He was involved in Andy's drug dealing and regularly brought roofies from her. Rich kid Max Hastings isn't looking so wholesome anymore. Maybe I need to follow this roofie line of intel, see if there is any other evidence of what I'm starting to suspect. Though they are both looking simultaneously suspicious, there's no Max Howie team going on here. Max only brought drugs in Fairview through Andy, and Howie only knew vaguely of Max and his buying habits via Andy. But I think the most important lead is Andy's second burner phone. That's priority number one. The second phone most likely has all the details of the people she was selling drugs to. Maybe confirmation of the nature of her relationship with Howie. And if Howie wasn't the secret older guy, maybe Andy was using her burner phone to contact this man to keep it secret. The police had Andy's actual phone after they found Sal's body. If there were any evidence of a secret relationship on it, the police would have followed it up. If we find that phone, maybe we find her secret older guy. Maybe we find her killer, and this will be all over. As it stands, there are 3 possible candidates for secret older guy: Max, Howie, or Daniel Da Silva. If the burner phone confirms any one of them, I think we'd have enough to go to the police. Or it could be someone we haven't found yet. Someone like Stanley Forbes, maybe. I know there's no direct link between him and Andy, so he doesn't make the person of interest list. But doesn't it seem a little suspicious that he's the journalist who wrote scathing articles about Andy, killer boyfriend, and now he's dating her little sister? And I saw him giving money to the same drug dealer who supplied Andy? Or are those just coincidences? Persons of interest: Jason Bell, Naomi Ward, secret older guy, Nat and Daniel Silva, Max Hastings, and Howie Bowers. That's the end of chapter 20. Woo, I almost thought she wasn't going to make it out of there, because you playing with a drug dealer that could have possibly killed Andy. But we did find out that Sal did know that she was dealing drugs, because at first they said Sal didn't know, but he knew. Ooh, child, they keeping some secrets. But let's continue real quick. Chapter 21. Barney, Barney, Barney plops, Pip sang, both the dogs' front paws in her hands as they danced around the dining table. Her mom entered with a dish of roasted potatoes, placing them on a trivet on the table. "Get your brother, Pips," she said, leaving the room. "Josh, dinner's ready," Pip called. "Well, I could have done that," her mom said, returning with a steaming bowl of broccoli and peas and a small knob of butter melting on top. Pip went to help her dad carry in the plates and the roast chicken, Josh sidling in behind them. You finished your homework, sweetie? Pip's mom asked Josh as they all took their seats at the table. Barney's place was on the floor beside Pip, waiting for her to drop bits of food when her parents weren't looking. Josh nodded, already loading up his plate, and she turned to Pip next, her fork pointed at her. And when's the deadline for sending in your application? November 1st, Pip said. I'm going to try to send it in early, though, maybe end of next week. Have you started your personal essay yet? You want to give yourself plenty of time. There's still time, and when am I ever not on top of things, Mom? Pip said, sparing a piece of overgrown broccoli. If I ever miss a deadline, it will be because the apocalypse has started. Okay, sweetie, just don't spread yourself too thin. Pip's phone chimed loudly from her pocket, making Barney jump in her mother's scowl. No phones at the table, she said. Sorry, just putting it on silent. It could very well be the start of one of Kara's lengthy monologues sent line by line, a chaotic scramble of buzzing and dinging. Or maybe it was Ravi. The thought almost made her smile, but she fought it, knowing her dad would ask, What's so funny? She pulled out the phone to flick it to silence, looking down at the screen. The blood drained from her face. All the heat rushing down her back, churning in her stomach, and pushing her dinner back up. Pip? I have to use the bathroom, she said, jumping up from her chair with her phone in hand, almost tripping over the dog. She darted from the room and across the hall. Her thick woolen socks slipped out under her on the polished oak and she fell, catching her weight on one elbow. Pippa, her dad called. I'm okay, she said, picking herself up. Just slipped. She shut the bathroom door behind her and locked it. Slamming the toilet lid down, she turned shakily to sit, phone between both hands. She opened the new message. You stupid bitch. Leave this alone while you still can. From unknown. Pippa Fitz Amobi, October the 7th, 2019. Capstone Project Log, entry 24. I can't sleep. School starts in 5 hours and I can't sleep. There's no part of me that thinks this can be a joke anymore. The note in my sleeping bag, this text, it's real. I've plugged all the leaks in my research since the camping trip. The only people who know what I've discovered are Ravi, trying to tell you, and those I've interviewed. I tried to tell you. Yet someone knows I'm getting close and they're starting to panic. Someone who followed me into the woods, someone who has my phone number. I tried to message them back, and futile. Who is this? It error couldn't go through. I've looked it up. There are websites and apps you can use to anonymize text, so I can't reply or find out who it is. Is this unknown the person who actually murdered Andy Bell? Do they want me to think they can get to me too? I can't go to the police. I don't have enough evidence. All I have are unsworn statements from people who knew different fragments of Andy's secret lives. I have 7 persons of interest, but no one main suspect. There are too many people in Fairview who had motive to kill Andy. I need tangible proof. I need that burner phone, and only then will I leave this alone. Unknown. That's the end of chapter 21. Okay, first a note, now this text. So it gotta be somebody she know because they got her phone number, right? So they texting her, and gotta be somebody she know because close enough to put a note in her sleeping bag. And it gotta be somebody she know that want her to stop. But who? Who could it be? Have no clue. It's so many people, just like she said, so many people that would want her dead. Or it could be Andy. Why they want her to stop? I don't know. But we shall find out in the next chapters. Bye for now.